Good evening, fellow ghouls and specters alike. Your ghost host with the most, Tiki here.
And Blue Dragon 5, here to engage in some haunted holiday hijinks by trudging through the catacombs and dusting off the cobwebs to recount our spooky selection of Halloween classics.
So, light the jack-o'-lanterns, suit up, and grab the candy dish as we revive and recount tonight's spooky selection, the Beetlejuice, SpoilerCast, SpoilerCast. It's funny because SpoilerCast is also said twice. So clever. Okay, I'm just kidding, obviously. Okay, Kogias, I actually have a pretty definitive answer for that, my friend. We will get there. Just going to shout out Little Blue's comment first. He says, you're starting Halloween retrospectives this early. Yes, we are Little Blue, just because, first of all, I just think the timing for Beetlejuice, I just think it makes sense for this to be within the Haunted Holiday Hijinks selections, especially because it is legitimately a Halloween movie. Like,
Yeah.
more so than the first one was,
So
honestly.
Beetlejuice was early, so why not us?
Right. And then also, I just got a trip at the first week of October, so, we want to kind of start to get the ball rolling. Because honestly, Dragon, I'm pretty sure Haunted Holiday Hijinks with 13, it's definitely the most extensive series that we do every year. So yeah, got to get the ball rolling on it. Okay, Kogias, I will let you know where I rank this movie in my overall rankings. But first, I want to hear from Dragon. What did you think of this movie?
So, you know, Beetlejuice, the long rumored and long anticipated sequel ever since Beetlejuice Goes Hawaiian, which, of course, was yet another kind of like almost cross section of Kevin Smith and Tim Burton's paths crossing around the time of
Kevin
Superman
Smith and
Lives.
Tim Burton are like Fievel and Fievel's parents.
Yeah, I mean,
They
again,
just keep missing each other.
yeah, and again, they keep influencing each other to some degree too. Or it's like Kevin Smith's whole identity is shaped by Batman, or Kevin Smith's whole destiny is shaped by Batman '89, seeing it instead of like reporting for duty at Domino's. So it's very it's very key for him.
My phone is very touchscreen sensitive. I apologize for the Green Day jump scare. Go ahead, Dragon. Sorry.
Anyway, yes, I mean their paths keep kind of almost crossing. Kevin Smith was presented with like three scripts. He picked Superman Lives, but again, one of them was Beetlejuice Goes Hawaiian. So yet again, like he ends up on a path with Tim Burton anyway with Superman Lives, but almost
Must
yet
we go
again,
tropical?
must we go tropical? All right, so yeah, I love the Beetlejuice cartoon, so I have mad nostalgia for Beetlejuice, and the movie as well. I mean, I rewatched it before seeing this to get some of my early Halloween stuff out of the way as well, and also to catch up before the movie comes out. So I was hyped, I think, as we all were. My hope was that Tim Burton, making a comeback after Dumbo. We have Keaton, we have practical effects. We have hopefully a story worth telling, one that's like a sequel people have been really curious about for a long time. And the end result, well, it's more of a mixed bag than I would have hoped. Uh, yeah, there's a lot of good stuff here, but I really think basically we had our Smallville creators writing this movie. We had Miles Miller and Alfred Goff writing this, and yeah, I think they dropped the ball in the writing department. I really think there's a that's the thing. I think there's a good movie here, but I really feel like a second draft would have helped them.
Right.
So that's like the one thing I have to reconcile. Aside from, I mean, there's a lot of good here, and there's a lot I like about it, but it just feels like really muddied storytelling.
For sure. For sure. Okay. Let's see. We have Keeper Colby's in the comments. He says, if not so scary party Oh, I'm sorry. If the not so scary Halloween party can start in August, y'all can start in September. Thank you. Kogia says Kevin Smith should play Bob the Goon from Batman. Yes, that would be wonderful. Okay, here we go, Dragon. Honestly, having just ranked all of thank you, Little Blue, thank you. Having just ranked all of Tim Burton's films with Eli of Little Blue Productions, I can safely say this film would land in my top 10 with the asterisks that honestly I don't really think we get to the straight masterpieces in the Burton catalog until we get to like my top 5 or so. Like honestly, I feel like Burton as a filmmaker he has more mixed bags than not, even if you look at the Golden Age stuff, honestly. I feel like he has like a handful of true masterpieces, and then the rest of his filmography is like various degrees of really interesting and ambitious, but maybe not so much like really solid. I feel like storytelling and script structure and stuff is always something that Burton's kind of dealt with. I mean, I would even say that the original Beetlejuice has kind of a wonky structure to it.
I don't know if I'd go as far as I think if you look back on Beetlejuice, especially by comparison, if you refreshed yourself going into this one, you're going to see Beetlejuice is already underrated in terms of story structure.
Well, I'm just saying it's got an unconventional story structure just because of the fact that the title character really, I mean, that's not a bad thing, the fact that the title character doesn't show up for a lot of it, but it's unconventional. When you're going into it, you expect to, I mean, the title character doesn't show up until like 45 minutes or so into the movie.
I mean, or so, maybe a little sooner, but because we have him like reading the paper saying, "Oh, the Maitland." So I mean, he's kind of in the movie before we see him doing the commercial. So we build him up a lot in that movie. We sparsing out the 17 minutes.
So this movie right now is number 8 in my Burton filmography. It is right behind Charlie and the Chocolate Factory, and it pushes Frankenweenie to number 9. So yeah, there we go. It's still in my top 10.
Where was the original Beetlejuice in your ranking?
The original Beetlejuice was number 3.
Okay.
My top 5 was, number 3. My top 5 was Ed Wood. Ed Wood was number 5. Number 4 was oh shoot.
I know Scissorhands and Big
number
Fish.
4. Number 4 was Number 4 was Pee-wee's Big Adventure.
Mm-hmm.
Number 3 was Beetlejuice. Number 2 was Big Fish, and number 1 was Scissorhands. Yes.
There you go.
Which, by the way, I just fully rewatched Scissorhands for the first time, and Dragon, it wrecked me.
Right, it's pretty great, isn't it?
Destroyed me.
It's wonderful. it's a wonderful film.
I mean, that ending, dude. I did not, as a child, it did not sink in just how gut-wrenchingly tragic that ending is.
I mean, come on, the hands though.
Yeah, the hands. That's also Anyways.
Anyway.
Okay, so I Dragon, I agree with pretty much everything you said. I will say, I literally just got back from my second viewing. That's why we had to bump this up to 11. And I will say the plot is definitely messy for sure, but on a second viewing, I kind of see where the pieces kind of fit together a little bit more. Specifically, I think I kind of warmed up to the Justin Theroux character a little bit more in the second viewing. Like, really, by all intents and purposes, Justin Theroux is honestly kind of the main villain in this movie. And when you go in kind of like watching the movie through the lens of that, it kind of makes a little bit more sense. I feel like his comeuppance is a little bit more satisfying when you look at it through that lens. I mean, obviously we're going to gush about it, but Dragon, holy shit, this movie feels so good from a practical effects point of view. I mean, it's just like, it's a true return to form for Burton in that regard. And honestly, I can't not really almost love a movie with these kinds of practical effects. I don't really love this movie, but there's a lot about it that I do really like. I think Colby, I agree with you that everything was resolved way too easily. I'm sure we'll get into that with the plot stuff. I think a lot of the plot lines are just like, wait, that's it? That's all you're gonna do with that character? All right. But overall, I think I did have a blast with this. I'm pleasantly surprised that my second viewing actually improved the movie. I will say right off the bat, I need to say it so we don't bury the lead. I think Catherine O'Hara is the true standout in this movie. I think she stole the goddamn show. I really loved her performance in this. I honestly think I like Catherine O'Hara in this movie more than I like her in the first movie. And I like
really.
Her. I really think her character is like, I don't know. I love her dynamic with Lydia in this movie. I really, really like her character in this one. I really thought Burden knocked it out of the park. O'Hara knocked it out of the park. It was one of the few pieces of writing with the character arcs and stuff that I think really landed. I actually really love her resolution in the movie. I really like the some of
the reunion.
Yes.
Well, almost the reunion. We're missing a part of that reunion, but
well, yes, but for very understandable.
No. I mean, it's like literally. I'm saying the reunion, but the other party's missing a head.
Dragon, you've got to admit that is one of the most fucking creative ways that Hollywood has ever written out a pedophile.
Well, yes and no. Well, yes, you're right about that part. But if I'm saying there was one
just
bit
the fact that they kept milking it, like, nope, we're not going to show him, folks.
We'll get there. There's a couple. There's actually one glaring misstep they did make with that. It's really like, oh, it's like kind of like tugging the collar, kind of like, oh wow, how did they miss that?
Okay, fair enough. All right, so yeah, let's just go ahead and get into it, Dragon.
All right, so I guess again, we're not going to go like full on like beat for beat because we didn't just see it, and I don't think we have like a full grasp on where exactly everything is. But let's just say
I definitely think this movie, like the plot mechanics, you absolutely should see it a second time because there's a lot going on.
Well, okay, so Lydia with the Ghost House show. So this makes sense. So I think this is a really good way to start off the movie here. So the ability, we did establish very well in the first movie. She has the ability to see ghosts. So this is a fun idea that, in a sense, again, not literally, but in a sense, kind of connects to the animated show. But we have a couple nods to the animated show here and there.
Uh-huh.
Like light nods. Like Burton's not actually going to directly reference it. I know he's not, but still, it's the fact that if you're building the world a little bit, you kind of run into some kind of Venn diagram kind of stuff. So I like that it connects to Lydia. There's potential fun to be had with Lydia seeing ghosts in a casual sense. Like she's like going to the studio and like in the bathroom and like, well, there's the old magic act who probably died there, who's probably bound to the studio. Like the magician's assistant, like the being gored in the head. Like he missed, the magician missed. So again, because the fun thing about Beetlejuice is that it kind of predicted a lot of like the paranormal kind of attraction of it all. The whole Maxie Dean plot from the first film is very much like Lydia sold out and she did what her father was aiming to do in that movie, and basically predicted the whole all the all like the ghost hunter shows and everything, all sure. That kind of thing. So basically, Lydia kind of cashed in before it was a big thing. It seems.
Also, I want to acknowledge really quickly, Burden just continues his trend of having just excellent opening credit sequences. I freaking loved the reintroduction of the Beetlejuice theme. I love the choir singing it. I love the shots of the model. It's just honestly a chef's kiss of a.
Here's something really cool about the opening credits I did notice, because every time I watch the Beetlejuice movie, which I did again in preparation for this again, I'm always enamored by that model shot. Is so good. It does trick the mind, in which when you watch the first movie, you're thinking real, then you realize it's model, and you see how seamless the transition is. But then this movie, he interwove it because it goes from model to real. He
pulls a Hereditary, Dragon. I know you're not familiar with that movie, but that movie starts in a very similar way, where it's like a zoom in on a model, and then the main character like opens the door in the model, and it's like, okay, now we're in the world of the movie.
Yeah. Okay, so here I'm going to circle a bit of an issue I have, and this kind of connects to some of the main issues of the film here, is that while I like this Lydia thing, I like the status quo with Lydia, we are lacking a lot of why. I don't extensively need everything explained to me, but a little bit of like, why did she sell out? Why did she do that? And we just we don't acknowledge this sort of thing, and we because of this, we put Lydia in places where I don't know if she would go there. So for example,
I agree. Honestly, the entire premise of the Justin Theroux character, I mean, I don't know. It's a tricky thing where it's like you have to acknowledge that she is on her second husband. She did lose her first husband.
So that's what I want to talk about there.
Mm-hmm.
I see when I went to this movie, again, I didn't really look into the ins and outs of every little thing because I want to go in a little fresh. My presumption was that Justin Theroux was the living husband and father of Astrid. That was my presumption.
You mean he's Astrid's biological father?
Yes, instead of the hopeful non-biological father.
Yeah.
So the idea that we kill off the random husband, who seems to be a really good guy, he did carry genuine pathos. Richard did seem to carry genuine pathos, which I did really appreciate. So we kind of drove
a character
away.
That I wish was a little bit more present in the movie because I did like the screen time we got with him. I liked the practical effect of the piranhas sticking out of his chest. I thought that was really neat.
Let me tell you why Richard is actually a key to what I think would really help this film, but we kind of missed the opportunity here. So the idea is, okay, we've killed off the first husband to drive a wedge between mother and daughter for our story. Now, Richard seems like a nice guy from what we can tell. He helps save the daughter at the end. He's a nice guy. I like what we learn about the guy in the past tense, like the whole thing. He was really into Halloween. He kind of indoctrinated like Astrid dressing up like the painting, the Scream when she was a little girl. Mm-hmm. That's cute and everything. So I think the reason Richard works and gives the impression that he would have worked even better is that he's the close. This film is missing an X factor, and the X factor by proxy of Richard here is that he's the closest thing we get to the Maitlands.
Yeah, which by the way, one of the biggest things in this movie that I had a problem with was just like, oh, they found a loophole and they decided to move on. It's like, what the fuck? You know what I mean? Like, that is the laziest way to write out core characters in your movie. Like, I was honestly shocked by how quickly they just...
You know what I think might have saved that? If we just said Lydia found the loophole for them. Like, that would
Right, yeah.
Instead of this, they lucked out. You know, it's just...
I'm just like, what? Wait, what?
But seriously, think about this, though. The Maitlands were the
considering all the stuff they do with the Jeffrey Jones character, we really just can't have them present at all?
But that's the thing, though. Look, I respect that we don't have the Maitlands in this film, but I love the moments in which we do mention the Maitlands because you get a sense through the performance of Winona Ryder that they really meant something to her. But we don't linger on it enough is the problem, or draw like a connection. Like perhaps Lydia, the life she imagined herself, you know, romantically and like as a family, would have been what the Maitlands had.
Or maybe the loophole could be the same thing that that Astrid's boyfriend uses.
Sure,
you know what I mean. Set that up.
Sure. So that's the thing. So again, it's oddly the heart of Beetlejuice was the non-Beetlejuice component with the Maitlands in the first film, and again, it just feels like without them here, the Maitlands were the key to the slow build in Beetlejuice because you cared about this couple and what happened to them, and they kind of distracted you from the reason you're there in the first place, which is Keaton in a fright wig. You know, it's reductive, but that's essentially what Beetlejuice is in the best of senses. So here, what I get is that Act 1 is a slow build that drags. You know, like, hey, what are you getting instead of like couple that you identify with? It's Justin Theroux with like a half ponytail.
And I love Justin Theroux, but this is definitely one of his.
I gotta be honest. I had a revelation with Theroux, and I don't think you're gonna like it.
Oh no! Okay.
I kind of had, so I would say Justin Theroux, at least for now. You've had the benefit of the second watch. I don't think this would really change for me, but I don't know. I haven't seen it a second time.
I don't necessarily like the performance more. I just get his role within the plot more on a second watch.
But here's the thing, okay? With Rory, it's like I see Justin Theroux as ultimately Justin thoroughly overrated. You know, is that I kind of realize, with the exception of Lego Ninjago, Justin Theroux doesn't really add much.
You never watched The Leftovers, or did you?
Oh wait, no, you're right. I guess with The Leftovers being
The Leftovers is far and away his best role, far and away.
taking the leftovers off the table, okay? Taking leftovers and Lego Ninjago off the table. Name one impressive thing Justin Theroux's done, aside from marrying Jennifer Aniston. Name one
Not
impressive
much,
thing.
honestly. I'll be totally honest with you.
That's the thing. I kind of realized that.
The leftovers.
I kind of forgot about the leftovers when I was looking over this. Was like, oh yeah, that's because that's the thing. Because every time we think of Justin Theroux, it's like we throw him in the background. We're like, hey, he's in that Star Wars movie as the misdirect. What does he do? Bum all. He doesn't.
All right, anyways. Colby, I'm going to say really quick. Colby's saying I'm going to be fighting for the Richard Marx song here to get into the best needle drop for the Golden Tikis. There's quite a bit of Golden Tiki's potential here. Best cameo, Danny DeVito. Best supporting actress, Catherine O'Hara. Easily best production design. Easily. That should be a shoe-in. So, yeah, as much of a mixed bag as this is, I do think this is going to play well in the Golden Tikis. Anyways, go ahead.
So Rory, the issue is, we've rehashed the step-parent pattern of the first film, but we've modernized. I know he's not actually the step-parent yet, but he's on the path of being step-parent. And it's just, I think, basically, we see the guy's ultimately, he's a user, and we have the very random, very super cringy funeral proposal, and it just grinds the movie to a halt. And it's just like this whole plot line is only there to get us to Act 3, which is cool and in a church. Like Act 3 is great.
Right.
This is the only reason this whole.
But even that's kind of like it's almost kind of like one of the few times where I feel like I think the movie does a good job of not indulging in member berries as much as the usual Legacy sequel does.
It's like Tim Burton's satirical version of a Hallmark movie. That's essentially what this is.
I'm just saying, like, having the finale be in a church is kind of I feel like that might have been a step too far in the member berries department. It did feel a little forced.
I like it,
it's
but
cool. It's a good finale. Don't get me wrong, but it's it kind of feels a little bit like, all right, we're just doing the first movie again, more or less.
Yeah, but oddly, I think it was a very strong part of the movie though, because it's allowing Beetlejuice to take center stage.
Oh, sure, yeah.
Anyway, so the point being, all this Rory stuff and the wedding plotline specifically, it forces Lydia into a position where the character would not naturally find herself in. Like, why would she stand? Why would she indulge this guy's idiocy? Who would say yes to a proposal at her father's funeral? Who would say yes to this?
On a rewatch, I do just get the sense that Lydia is just kind of broken. And that's kind of like, honestly, it's kind of like one of those things. Like, I feel like Lydia, like, not enough people are talking about this, where I honestly feel like in this movie, Lydia kind of got the treatment of like, like a Luke Skywalker or something, where it's like years later and the character is just not what you were expecting her to be, like based on the first movie. Does that make sense?
I mean, yes, but I'm not.
Put her in a really vulnerable position, and we're used to Lydia being like, the kick-ass goth icon of the 90s, and it's like here she's, frankly, kind of a broken person.
Well, that's the thing. I'm not entirely opposed to Lydia being broken. Like, the idea of her being haunted by the ghost and everything, and like being able to communicate with the ghost, that's on brand. I think Winona Ryder, she plays like she stepped right back into the Lydia role in a way that's, oh my god, she's playing Lydia again. It's pretty great. But again, it's lacking of the why of like, how does she end up in this situation? Like, why would she say yes to certain things? It's like.
Like I said, I do think on a rewatch, I feel like that stuff cleared itself up. Dragon, that was one of my biggest issues on my first watch. So
all we know about Richard, while he is the performance,
a little bit.
It's like while Richard is seemingly, I like what we get with Richard. It's like, what did she see in this guy? He just likes to go to South America. I think we might be drawing parallels that, like Charles, he likes to travel and study the wildlife, maybe.
Right. That's kind of the vibe I got. Yeah.
I think that's the idea. Because remember, is Charles, the whole thing of you is what people are going to forget is that, Charles was her biological father. And in Delia was the stepmother, which is why there was so much tension there. And I guess speaking of which, Delia, this is I
really love the dynamic with Lydia and Delia. I really love how they're like on good terms now. It's like I like that. That's one of the things where it's like I wasn't expecting them to go in that direction with their relationship, but I do really like it, you know, and it does feel natural to me.
And plus, she did lean into what Charles was all about, which is kind of fitting into what Delia likes. So it's like, hey, you sold out for money. I'm down for that.
Exactly.
So again, this is kind of like Burton excels at. He loves doing kind of satire on the arts. So the idea that she kind of failed upwards. But the idea Delia was ahead of her time in the late '80s to like where we're at now with like the very kind of supercilious kind of like kind of parodies
Delia
of
just
art.
being like an avant-garde artist just makes so much sense, and it's honestly one of the most. I mean, there's a lot of Burtonisms in this movie, but like a lot of them are cosmetic. This is like very much a Burtonism in the thematic sense. You know what I mean?
Yeah, it's like Burton's kind of commentary on the art world, which kind of like again we've seen like Burton like his commentary on other things. Like for example, constantly Suburbia. Burton has very pointed feelings about Suburbia.
Tim Burton having strong feelings about Suburbia? You don't say.
Yeah, what a coinky dink.
I never would have guessed.
Yeah. Anyway, but yeah, so again, the whole thing of like Tim Burton chic is in the kind of the post Hot Topic world, it's like
right.
So anyway, so this brings so basically Delia brings the plot into the movie in that Charles Dietz is dead for in real life reasons.
Oh yeah.
Okay, which but so here are the two things I want to mention with Charles Dietz. Okay, one, while yes, it's a rather ingenious way in which we kind of have the actor without having the actor. That's great. However, we do this thing that threw me right back. I mean, look, I admit doing the stop motion, or at least the stop motion
sucks. It's genuinely the worst moment in the whole movie.
So that's what I want to talk about.
Stylistically, it's way the fuck off. It's. I think it's definitely going to be the worst moment in the movie for a lot of people.
Here's why it was so trippy for me. I've told you about this before. I remember way back in the day. I just by sheer happenstance, I didn't watch the show. There was a curiosity. It was like the middle of the night, like roughly like it was like a 3 a.m. sort of thing, and I was in kind of like a tired daze of sorts, and I put on the 2.5 Men finale.
Oh no! What?
And I've told you this story before, but yeah, so the 2.5 Men finale, which I had no vested interest in it beyond like, I wonder how they handled the whole Charlie Sheen thing.
Right.
I watched it, and the way they handled the Charlie Sheen thing was very much, it was this, but it was with crappy CG that was almost a nod to the food fight movie.
Oh man!
Basically, it was like, okay, we're gonna have him there, and we're gonna say a bunch of demented, like weird, like if it's 3 a.m. in the morning, you're gonna think you're hallucinating, kind of weird stuff in that style, which essentially is what we did here with Charles Dietz. Like, and he went on a bird, he went on a bird-seeking excursion. The plane went down. That didn't kill him. A shark did.
Right.
So versus just mentioning it, so it felt so weird when we could have just mentioned it. Oh yeah, a shark got him.
Yeah, I agree. Really quick to answer Kogias's question here, does Beetlejuice have more screen time in the sequel than it does in the first film?
Yes, but not as much
as you would expect. Yeah. I would say like in the first film, he probably had like around 18 minutes. He probably has about twice that in this movie.
Yeah, 17 minutes in the original.
And I'd say he probably has maybe a little over a half hour in this movie.
I'd say that's fair. Honestly, it could be even less, but let's just say it's more than 17 minutes.
Yeah.
Anyway,
between 20 and 30, maybe.
I would estimate, I'd say 20 to 30 max. He's in the movie more. I can say that much, but I can't really say by how big a margin.
But I really do like that. Is one of the big strengths of the movie. I feel is I feel like it would have been really tempting to just go full Jack Sparrow with Beetlejuice and just make him the main character. But no, that we don't go that route. We still make him the, like a weird gremlin antagonist who's also just very much kind of like the audience's like kind of on his side just because he's so fun. Like I feel like his role in the plot is relatively like the same as the first movie, which I think is really refreshing because like I said, I think it would have been so easy for them to just be like, okay, it's Beetlejuice's movie now. Like none of this build up with human stuff.
All right, real quick before we get into with Beetlejuice, I just want to mention the really weird thing. I'm surprised no one caught with the Charles Dietz thing. The really unsettling thing.
Oh, okay. I'm curious.
Okay, so I mean, we didn't know this in the trailer because we didn't see the other side of the scene. We just thought it was like playing, like just during the trailer, like music. We play, we do the nod to Deo.
Uh,
Now, I don't know about you, Tiki, but it does feel like an odd choice to have an old children's choir singing Deo at
oh,
Charlie
oh
Eaton's
shit.
funeral.
Oh shit. Oh my god, I didn't put the pieces together on that. Oh
I was
Jesus
just in the theater. I
Christ.
was thinking, this feels
And okay,
oddly,
you know what else? You know what else,
wrong.
Dragon? This is the one time we actually see his face
Yep,
because yeah. Oh dear God.
the
Oh
head is
no.
on the is on the
Oh
it's on the
no.
giant crystal
Oh
shark headstone
no.
with the kids around it singing the highlight of the first film.
Which,
So it
by the
can't.
way, I think the Deo thing was maybe a little forced. I think maybe I would have preferred it if it would have been non-diegetic.
Well, that's I think if it was just played over the scene without there being an actual choir, maybe
Right,
I don't.
right. Yeah.
You know. Anyway, so okay, so Beetlejuice. So Keaton is the MVP of the movie. He's befriend is
I mean, I would
presumably.
still argue Catherine O'Hara. Keaton's great. Keaton's great, but
I mean, yeah, but I mean, come on, man. Keaton hasn't lost a step, man. I mean, he's fantastic
oh
in
no,
this.
he hasn't. He hasn't. Yeah, I'm just saying Catherine O'Hara. I was not expecting to love as much as I did in
Look, I
this.
want to be clear. Our returning cast members, the ones who were not eaten by sharks, they did an exceptionally great. They did a great job stepping back into the roles. We got to give them
Uh-huh.
that. So, okay, so they came back. It wasn't like a really forced, like, oh man, it's just sad. Look at the sad old Keaton put on the makeup again. Like, no, it didn't
No,
turn into
no.
a
I
farce.
mean, you're absolutely right though. Keaton is just like doing a lot of heavy lift. I mean, I love how. Honestly, I like how they found new ways to use Beetlejuice in this.
Yeah,
I like all the dubbing gags that we have.
yeah. So that's the thing. So, admittedly, again, there's another kind of lacking of why, but this one's not as big as like Lydia character motivation stuff. This is just like presumably Beetlejuice in his time as a shrunken head. He's befriended the other shrunken head guys.
Which, by the way, I'm all in on Bob. I'm
Yeah.
all in on Bob. I
So
love
Bob
Bob.
has to be an '89 reference. I mean, given that's Burton, I'd be shocked if all the names Burton could have chosen, the fact that it's Michael Keaton's right hand man, and the fact that Bob meets an end in this film, I
Right,
would have
right.
to imagine Bob was an intentional name choice.
I think Bob is one of the absolute highlights of the whole movie. Honestly, I think he's got a great a great
I
presence.
love the here's the thing. I love the status quo of Beetlejuice, and I thought this was a really good idea. That Beetlejuice, he is a bioexorcist, but he's been on the rebound
Uh huh.
since he got his head back, and he's got kind of a whole room full of shrunken head guys to like handle his business and kind of build. He's getting that much business as kind of a freelance exorcist for hire. So I mean, I think that's really given like an office setting is a really good idea for Beetlejuice. It's kind of mundane, and it shows that Beetlejuice is he's still on top of his game.
Right,
And
right.
he's kind of a wizened Beetlejuice, which I really like. We kind of took him from the antagonist of the first Beetlejuice film.
Really quick, Teddy. We'll definitely get to Jenna Ortega. She has a pretty significant side plot, and I'm sure we'll break it down. But we're kind of going character by character here, but we will get there. Make no mistake. All right, go ahead.
So all of these, it's a wizened Beetlejuice, and the first film he's very much the antagonist, and here we kind of lean more. And my favorite parts of this film with Beetlejuice actually are we kind of do the anti-hero stuff with him, which I felt was a really good choice. And what I love most about it is that again,
He's still an
intentionally,
absolute creep who's literally
yeah,
stalking Lydia.
no, true. But I'm saying later on, despite that, again, hence the anti-hero, not a hero of the
Uh-huh,
movie.
uh-huh.
Is the fact that again he is he is that scumbag still. However, again, kind of like a weird, like unintentional from Burton, I'm sure, a melding of the cartoon in which it's not like the buddy buddy dynamic of the
Right,
cartoon.
right.
However, it is Beetlejuice on Lydia's side, which we have
Sure,
like for
sure.
like a brief millisecond. Again, him fulfilling his end of the deal in the Beetlejuice movie, in which okay, I'm gonna save the Maitlands, and then you know, from there. But here it's like we get a little bit more of that, which I really appreciate. I was having a really good time with that. Like, man, look at Beetlejuice again, and you can't really hate Beetlejuice for the wedding per se, because well, I mean that was the deal. It's like she willfully made that deal. You don't want it to go through, obviously, but it's like, well, I mean, a little bit more on the other side of it. Anyway,
True.
okay, I guess so What's up at Astrid?
All right, so yeah, I gotta say, really not a fan of her intro. I hate the whole like, okay, oh, she's putting up protest posters, and then she gets a call from on the phone, alleged mom, and she rolls her eyes. I'm like, oh my god, this is about the most cliche, like jaded teenage daughter entry we can possibly get.
I would blame our Smallville writers for this one. Now, to be fair, they were they worked on the reason they're on this. You're probably wondering why I'm just throwing around Smallville. That was the main thing they did. However, they worked on the Wednesday show, which Burton is involved with.
I'm not surprised.
That's kind of our cross nexus there, and that's how we get Jenna Ortega in this movie, presumably. So that and the whole sensation that Wednesday is.
I think Jenna Ortega is like, she's okay in this movie. Let's talk about her side plot, Dragon, because honestly, at first, I really liked it. Like, I thought the reveal of the nature of the boy, the guy,
the Jeremy.
I thought it was a good reveal. I just kind of think that, like a lot of other things in the movie, I feel like with the boyfriend, it's like he's developed so much in the first half of the movie, and he's basically only used as like, he's a very utilitarian character that's basically only there to get Jenna Ortega into the afterlife.
Yeah.
So like I don't know, I like, and just the fact that he's disposed of like immediately, and also Dragon, the whole plot genuinely feels like it should be in one of the new era Ghostbusters movies.
Yeah.
More so than a Beetlejuice movie.
Well, literally, we had this plot line in the new Ghostbusters movie. Only the
yeah, Teddy. Yeah, that was an awkward way to phrase that. I am sorry. Anyways,
only difference is the ghost in question did not turn out to be a serial killer.
Right.
Anyway, but
I
yeah,
feel like that's something they would do in a new era Ghostbusters movie.
Well, that's what I'm saying. I mean, in that new Ghostbusters movie, they got close to that. Though. It was very
I know. Yeah.
So, anyway, so it feels the whole Astrid Jeremy thing. It felt, I like the introduction. I like she meets this seemingly this nice kid.
I actually thought they had some genuinely pretty good chemistry. I'm not gonna
lie. And again,
lie.
for a moment, I'm thinking, hey, I think we're inching towards some Maitland's charm here.
Okay, right. We might get.
And I was that, but I was also a little trepidatious because we're getting a little some Wednesday writing here. I don't know. We're kind of they're kind of half Maitland's, half we're kind of diverting focus for maybe what our Beetlejuice movie should be. I don't know. Let's give it some rope. Let's see what happens. And we ended up hanging ourselves here because it was the twist almost worked for me here. Initially, I thought the twist was going to be.
I think it really works from Lydia's point of view.
Well, that's the thing. So
initially, her perspective.
Well, sure. I'm just saying the initial twist being like what he told Astrid is like, I'm a ghost. I died accidentally, and then it's the idea of we kind of painted the parents as like kind of like sad cases there. Where it's like, okay, perhaps they are grieving in light of their dead son. Like, okay, that's kind of interesting. There's little Maitland charm there, and then. No, he's just randomly a serial killer. He killed his parents, and then he just fell off and he broke his neck on the way down. It's like, oh.
I don't buy that a serial killer would be that smooth. You know what I mean?
Well apparently he's not, because he killed his parents, he ran up into a treehouse, and then he fell to his death and broke his neck. So
right. Well, no, I'm just saying, like, the way he kind of woos over Jenna Ortega.
Right. Well, I mean, Ted Bundy.
True.
I mean, look, I'm not saying it's.
He's literally spending his entire afterlife in a treehouse, Dragon. So it's like, I don't really buy the fact that this guy's got social skills.
That's fair.
Anyways,
that's fair. The point, this guy's. The point being, like, it felt like maybe we pivoted a little hard into okay, and he's the bad guy now.
Let's be honest here. This movie has too many villains.
So that brings us to our next point here. We should talk about. So. Beetlejuice's ex-wife, the Dolores.
One character that very much, honestly, really should have been the main antagonist. She has genuinely one of the best scenes in the movie is her introduction. And God, she goes through long stretches of the movie where you forget she's even a part of it, and it's such a shame.
So a few things here. So one, let's talk about. She only has 3 lines in the whole movie, over and over again. Where is Beetlejuice?
Right.
So Dolores, I do love the name of like giving this horrific soul sucker the name Dolores. I think that's funny. I'm going to say that. So Dolores is a cute callback to the first film. That okay, Beetlejuice, which again they even screwed this up because again Beetlejuice had that finger.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so the idea that okay, Beetlejuice, he was married, she meant nothing to me, and so setting that up, okay, that's kind of a cute little member berries reference, I suppose you might say. But literally, she does nothing in this movie besides soul sucking. It's a cool effect, she accordion style somebody. Okay,
I think it's genuinely one of the coolest practical effects in the movie.
Yeah, it's a cool effect, but that's all she's got. That's all.
Right.
Here's the thing that bothers me about it. It's the fact that she's not really at least to as far as we can tell. They don't say it, so I don't know. She's not really where is Beetlejuice? They don't have a good answer, and then like sucks the soul,
right.
Or before they can give a legit answer, sucks the soul. Like I have to assume when she sucks the soul, she gets the knowledge. Maybe otherwise, no idea.
Well, no, I wouldn't assume that because she sucks the souls of multiple people, and she's still asking where Beetlejuice is.
Yeah, I mean, again, I have to imagine after Bob, that's the only reason poor Bob would have to die.
Right, yeah.
Well, Bob might know, otherwise, that's what I'm saying. It's just for no good reason. That's all she does. She's a soul sucker, and she has a creepy introduction where she's stapling herself together. Then it's all she does. Then here's the thing that really, I think, sinks her as a character. We've given Beetlejuice an origin story, which I think was a misstep.
I like the origin story.
I like the way
stylistically. I like how it's.
That's done, the thing. Stylistically, we like I like stylistically, but how we tell it, I don't like what we tell. I like how we tell it, though.
Right.
So the idea that Beetlejuice being a grave robber during the Black Plague, okay, that's essentially set up in dialogue. He was around.
I think that works. I think I can buy that.
Yeah, sure. Okay, I'm going to give you a grave robber during the Black Plague because we did at least have a throwaway line that he was around during the Plague. He lived through the Black Plague. Okay, but just again, method of the backstory is fun, but it's just it feels like okay, he just was kind of a random Joe. He got married and instantly gets poisoned, and it's really cool. They chops her up before he gets killed. But aside from that. I mean, it's a little underwhelming of a Beetlejuice backstory. Like the grave robbings, like what the wild stuff that Beetlejuice did before he died, seems more interesting than just a grave robber during the Black Plague. Seems like an average Joe who then just got randomly poisoned.
Is a grave robber really an average Joe though? Would you really describe that? As
I'm just saying we saw. Oh, here's the thing: we said it during the Black Plague. We just feel like everyone's dying around, just taking items from people who are just like dying off like flies, which I don't know. It doesn't seem like Beetlejuice always has like this wild thing where he's done all sorts of crazy stuff you can't possibly imagine. Where okay, so he's just basically getting stuff secondhand.
Yeah, I hear what you're saying. Yeah,
it's less the grave robbing thing's fine. All right, that's not the problem. The problem is just very much a standard looking Michael Keaton.
I feel like in terms of the backstory, like when the love interest is introduced, I feel like the backstory goes too fast. You know what I mean? It's like. Yeah. And then he met his wife, and then she tried to poison him, and it's like, whoa, okay, that went from 0 to 100 really fast.
It just feels like why? Also, again, lacking the why. I mean, did she have any good reason for killing him? Like, is it just like pure femme fatale? But we fast forward through it, so why do I care?
I think there was a reason. I think it was something to do with I want to say there was a plot reason for it, but again, there's a lot of moving parts to this plot, and. Even after 2 viewings, I can't remember exactly what it was.
I mean, plot-wise, I like that Beetlejuice could actually be dead, and he does not want that, and that's something that she could do to him. So that, to me, is an interesting idea we don't do enough with because, again, I mean, I'm not the one who made this point, but our betters have made the point that if you took Dolores and the Willem Dafoe character out of the movie, we don't lose anything really.
Right. which
is that plot-wise we arrive at the same place we ultimately end up, because we completely.
I mean, I think Justin Theroux really does work as a main villain when you look at his character through that lens. You know, I feel like he is driving a lot of the plot. But I agree, though, that means Belushi and Willem Dafoe, in spite of the fact that the performances are better than Justin Theroux, in spite of the fact that Belushi's character isn't written particularly well. But yeah.
Yeah, I mean, that's the thing. Like, literally, completely forget about her until she shows up at the end. Like, okay, I guess we should probably bring her up again.
Yeah. She does have a pretty cool demise, though.
Well, yeah, I mean, she does. All right, let's see. So the world building of Neither World, the Soul Train is a lot of fun. I like funk, so I did enjoy the Soul Train. I thought that was cool.
Uh-huh.
You know, we explore the bureaucracy of Neither World, which is always like the big sell of Beetlejuice. I do, however, wish, I understand we didn't do this because we need the thing with Richard, but still, I wish we stuck with the gag in the first movie where basically, if you commit suicide, you become a civil servant in the afterlife. That was kind of the gag of Beetlejuice, if you really noticed.
Sure. Yeah.
I don't know. I kind of wish we maintained that, but it's a quibble. It's not a deal breaker. Anyways, the point being, the idea, it's kind of like Coco with border controls. Essentially, kind of what Willem Dafoe's role is here, where he's Wolf Jackson. We've given this stunt man, well, not this actor who did his own stunt like an idiot. Basically, he basically Tom Cruised himself. That's the Tom Cruise method of death.
Right.
Yep, and so I mean, the casting's very, very on point for this movie all across the board. So I can bring back our favorites. We got Danny DeVito as as kind of like essentially our janitor.
Which Danny DeVito is more or less just a cameo, but he's a great cameo.
Well, that's the thing. Plus, we always kind of set up old Sweepy, and now we have like the one saying, "Yo, you don't want to end up there. It's where lost souls go." And we have like just DeVito saying, "Go there."
Mm-hmm.
All right, let's see. Well, he's our first death too, which is our first death, if you will.
Sure.
He's double dead. Basically, Burton finally found a way to visualize double dead.
Right.
All right. Anyway, let's see. So, okay, so killing Delia off, that was a great call.
I have a funny story about that.
Yeah.
The actual death scene happened so fast. I literally went to the bathroom when it happened.
Are you kidding me?
I'm
really?
not fucking kidding. The timing was Dragon. The time. No. I saw it on the second viewing.
Oh, right.
But the timing was fucking terrible. The first viewing, I was like, "Did I miss something?" Yes, I did.
God. Yes, of course. The thing I was thinking of during that scene was like, Sala was right. Very dangerous. You go first.
Right.
But yeah, so it's funny as a kid, and I want to be very clear. Just like when I first saw Beetlejuice way back in the day, I always misinterpreted the ending of Beetlejuice at first. I always thought somehow unexplained, the couple swap places. So like the Maitlands were somehow alive, and then her parents.
Oh, okay, yeah.
Now, mind you, that's really incorrect, and that's not how that movie ends. I'm just saying,
Right.
I was kind of like the tone of that movie. It's kind of like, okay, she's with the parents who presumably are kind of her newfound parents versus the not so great parents.
Her non-biological mother and father.
Yes, that doesn't have the same. Yeah. Anyway, so I liked in a cosmic sense. We did kill off the real parents.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I love she's entitled in the afterlife. She's in line and everything. No, I shouldn't be dead. Anyway, so that's great. And the fact she died in such a stupid, wonderfully stupid way.
Very, very on brand way for her to go. Yeah.
That's because you couldn't just let her husband die in peace. Essentially, it's like, no, I gotta make it about
right.
me.
Exactly.
Art, snakes. Yep. All right, so Beetlejuice shenanigans. I think just to kind of call a few out there. So when we have Beetlejuice kind of doing his thing, the couples therapy was pretty funny.
Uh-huh.
Spilling his guts, the scary face callback, and This one was the most disturbing, I must say. The fact that he made Lydia give birth to a baby Beetlejuice.
That was legitimately pretty shocking, I gotta say. I was kind of surprised they went that far.
It would have been more horrible if she was just freaking out more about it, though. But the fact that we have baby Beetlejuice, which I want to say, my headcanon, that's Tim Burton, his commentary on Star Wars and just the baby craze, is like baby Yodas and the baby Groots and just everything, just the whole the baby.
We did get a direct Disney call out here.
Yes, we did. Yes, we did. Let's see. So that baby Beetlejuice is nightmare fuel, and they are selling it, by the way.
Oh dear God! Really?
Did you see it? No. Yeah, they're selling. Seriously, here's what we gotta give kudos to. Again, it's Warner Brothers dropping the ball in every other sense of release on things. However, they marketed the heck out of Beetlejuice, and it has been paying off so far. Mm-hmm. Did you see the Hot Ones parody? It wasn't actually. It was not Ones because legally they can't call it Hot Ones because they didn't actually do a Hot Ones.
Although that would, considering the Donald Duck of it all, that would be amazing if they just had Michael Keaton in character as Beetlejuice do a Hot Ones episode.
They did though for that teaser.
Oh, did they?
Well, that's what I'm saying. The Hot Ones tease. It's called Not Ones, but essentially it's Michael Keaton as the Sean Evans. Across from Michael Keaton dressed as Beetlejuice, eating the ghost peppers and the wings and all that. It's only like 2 minutes, but that's the thing. It's not a full episode.
Right? Give Beetlejuice a full-blown Hot Ones episode. That's what we need.
Tiki, as you watch it, though, you'll realize why that probably wouldn't have worked, though.
Okay, fair enough.
Trust me, if you watch it, you'll see. It's like, oh yeah, Beetlejuice probably wouldn't be affected by that.
I guess that makes sense, yeah.
Yeah. Basically, it's like, well, to be fair, they did get a lot of mileage out of Conan O'Brien, but he wasn't affected by any of the hot sauces anyway, which is crazy. Anywho, so let's see. So the deal with Lydia to save the daughter in exchange for, he gets married to Lydia, which again, the fact that he's hung up on Lydia after all this time.
Right.
Yep. All right, so as I mentioned earlier, I love anti-hero Beetlejuice. I love the whole, him sending Jeremy to hell is really cool. I love that. I love him saving the day like that. I thought that was, oh man, that was really nice of Beetlejuice for a change.
Mm-hmm.
He's helping out Delia and everything. It's fun seeing those two kind of interact again.
I think calling Beetlejuice a trickster is probably the best description of his character.
Oh yeah, he is a trickster demon, essentially.
Yeah.
Let's see. He's conquered a sandworm fear, Matador style.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
That was a really nice payoff too. I think now, correct me if I'm wrong, because you've seen it twice. Justin Theroux does not get eaten by the sandworm as well, just her, right?
No, I'm pretty sure he does.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
Oh, I was kind of hoping for that. I forgot I forget if we did the cake song before or after the sandworm.
It's after, I think.
Well, let's see. If we do the cake after the sandworm, then Justin Theroux's still alive. Rory's still alive because he's
sandworm after the cake song. I'm sorry.
Oh, okay. There you go. Okay, now we gotcha.
The sandworm is, by all intents and purposes, pretty much the finale of the climax.
I tell you, man, you go back to the first Beetlejuice movie and you watch this one. The sandworm is always like the best looking part of that movie. It's like, oh man, the sandworm's so cool.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
I do think it's funny that it is pretty much a direct pull from Dune, too.
Yeah, pretty much.
Outside of the black and white stripes, of course.
So it would have made Dune even cooler, though.
If it was just literally just Beetlejuice sandworms.
Yeah.
No explanation.
It had the second mouth and everything. Yeah. Imagine them putting out a popcorn bucket of that sandwich. The Tim Burtonized version of Dune.
Oh man.
There's a remake of Dune I'd like to see. Imagine a stop motion version of Dune.
I don't know, man. Dune is that's a lot. Dune is a lot for a stop motion movie.
I know.
Anyways.
Still coming off a Mad God, just it would take 30
years.
No,
I'm saying, the Mad God. I could see that guy doing it.
Yeah, Phil Tippett. I mean, it would take another 30 years and would drive whoever makes that movie to the brink of madness, but it might be cool.
Right.
Anyway, so the wedding, the wedding is like to me like it's the highlight of the whole film. It's the whole, it's the third act of the film. Even though if it is very much like, okay, we ended the first minute of the wedding, we're doing it again.
The song they use in the movie is a great song, but Dragon, I cannot listen to that song without hearing Weird Al's Jurassic Park.
You know what I think
impossible. I cannot separate that song from Jurassic Park.
I have a different connection.
Okay.
The Tick.
Right,
Amazon Tick. Because I keep thinking of the Tick saying, "Would you stop with the stupid cake song?" So look, is it in terms of, yes, it's a big rehash of Deo, but with a different song. But I like
I don't care. I think it's great.
Let's think. I like the song, especially
if they did a rehash of Deo, they would have just done Deo again.
Yeah. But I like MacArthur Park. 2, I love the fact that we visualized the cake during the scene. That's what saved it. The fact that it was a wedding song because talking about cake.
right.
So it's a lot of fun. It's a well directed part of the part of all the craziness going. Also before that too, with the whole anti-hero Beetlejuice thing, I love that Beetlejuice like injects Rory with the truth serum, and actually like he's glad to have Beetlejuice on her side for this moment there, where she learns the truth about this guy using her and everything. He lied about having lost a loved one. And everything, and just punches him with the big box.
That really does kind of solidify him as like the main antagonist of the movie. I think that's one of the things that actually did play better for me.
But he's also very easily defeatable if you just didn't say yes to his marriage proposal.
Yeah,
that's the thing. But anyway, yes. So again, so Beetlejuice being a trickster,
you shouldn't say no under pressure, though. I mean, that is kind of like the knowing your victim's weak points is kind of the definition of an abusive relationship,
Yeah, but I mean, she initially said no anyway. I just felt like she just stood
up. No, I know. But Dragon, I'm saying, like, look, you know my history with my mom. That's what abusers do, man. They'll twist the knife until they agree. They will not take no for an answer. So it's I thought it was realistic enough.
Look, I'm not saying it's like doesn't happen. I'm just saying that in this case, I think the scene was a little messily kind of like structured, but fair point.
All right.
So the point being, Beetlejuice at the end of the day with a resolution. So some people might say, it goes by really quick. I like the resolution in that Beetlejuice being a very Rumpelstiltskin based character. I think it's really fitting that Astrid found a loophole in the contract that wait a minute, you kind of broke her, you got her in here illegally, so this contract is null and void. It might have been stronger if we said that Lydia got the Maitlands, found the loophole for the Maitlands, which I don't know, might have been a little loophole.
Right. If we connected that, yeah.
But I mean
there's a couple afterlife loopholes that they could have explained the Maitlands with.
Exactly, but you see what I mean? There's just this fact of the fact we didn't just like eat him with a sandworm again. We kind of found a way to outsmart Beetlejuice. Like that felt kind of right.
Sure.
And again, it's kind of a thing of it's kind of like a no harm, no foul kind of thing where Beetlejuice did help save.
Hello. Uh-oh. Dragon, you cut out for a minute there.
Well, yeah, what I was saying, Tiki, is that it's kind of a win-win for everyone at the end of the day. The fact that Beetlejuice kind of gets what he wants, but he doesn't, everyone's kind of helped out at the end of the day.
Uh-huh.
Anyway.
Sure. Okay.
All right. So I guess the ending of it all, unless you have anything else you want to throw in there, any comments you want to read.
No, I think we're good on the comments.
So how do you feel about the very ending?
I got to admit, I'm not crazy about the ending. I think it maybe goes a little bit too much for the shock value of it all.
I like how the ending starts. I like Lydia kind of deciding to live, kind of live versus kind of enamor herself in the world of the dead and everything. She and Astrid to go to do what Dad wanted them to do, visit the Dracula castle. Yeah, that's nice. We're
but then it goes off the rails pretty quick.
So initially you're thinking pretty straightforwardly, okay, we're going kind of like a nice sentimental ending here where, Astrid's like having a kid of her own and everything. It's going a little full circle, but gives birth to baby Beetlejuice.
Yep.
It's a little broad. Then we do kind of like the double nightmare thing, which the movie is called Beetlejuice, so we can't have just one nightmare. We have to have two nightmares.
So I don't know. I'm not crazy about the ending.
I'm not crazy about it either. I mean, it does. Here's the thing: it's an odd choice. Lydia being alone and haunted. It's kind of I could kind of respect that ending to a degree, where I kind of wonder if perhaps we should have had it be Beetlejuice is still in the bed, like they're kind of stuck with each other to a degree. That to me, it's probably
I like that. Yeah.
Like having him not be there, like the second nightmare
the double
portion,
takeout just makes the whole thing feel kind of pointless. Honestly,
like if he's in the bed, like we're gonna have more adventures, or like just like you'll never be rid of me kind of a thing, like that at least might attract, and also would have been like a demented version of the cartoon to a degree of just like
right.
Yeah, Lydia, we're gonna hang out for all of eternity.
BFFs, Lydia.
Yep. Don't worry, friends with benefits, Lydia.
Oh God.
Would have been a creepy ending, but for sure. But would have been on brand for him to say though.
Also, I don't like the implication that Beetlejuice like impregnated Jenny Ortega.
Well, that's the thing too. That's why you needed that to be
that.
I didn't like that either, but it's. Let's talk about how the real ending should have been. It should have been, that the ending that we did see, where Charles and Delia are reunited, going on the Soul Train.
Oh, that would have been nice. Yeah.
Yeah.
No, seriously, it would have been a good ending.
That essentially was the ending, and then we cut back to and we're seeing what Lydia's kind of putting a button on things.
All right. Teddy, I absolutely think it's worth watching. I mean, if anything else, even if you think the story's a mess, the practical effects are absolutely worth seeing on the big screen for sure.
I still think the best practical effect was, aside from the soul sucking was good, but I would argue just how seamless it is. Defoe's character interrogating Beetlejuice and showing him the picture of his ex-wife, and his face is like the super deformed, kind of like a scaredy face. Like that to me still impresses me. Like, man, that is seamless.
I still think Astrid's dad and the piranhas coming out of him and stuff, that was really cool.
Yeah, that's good.
I don't know, that really stood out to me. Just the detail of it.
And also like the dead people around Delia, that for the most part they
generally all the makeup effects and the grisly imagery and stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right. Okay, so I guess I guess we'll thank the folks here. Teddy, Kogias, Keeper Colby, Little Blue. Thanks as always for joining us. Dragon, final thoughts?
I mean, look, I wish I enjoyed the movies a little bit more with the storytelling, but I mean, I do like what I like about this movie. I mean, I love Keaton in this movie. I would watch it if it were streaming for sure, but in terms of seeing it again, I just wish I don't know, it definitely doesn't hold a candle to the original for it, but then again, all sequels kind of combat that, especially when they're 30 years removed. But I think Burton made an attempt here, and I respect that. And that's fundamentally, it's what I want. I want to see Burton try versus kind of like a CG fest, or just kind of like a whole thing where like, hey, Burton's been given like, hey, Burton, we want to see the Tim Burton version of Dumbo. Can you do that for us, Tim? We didn't just do that. We didn't just give fill in a blank with Tim Burton here. It's like, okay, Tim Burton's coming back to we're seeing what he would do given the task of doing a sequel to Beetlejuice, which you got to remember, it's really difficult for Burton to do a sequel because Batman Returns essentially is Tim Burton doing the Tim Burton version of Batman. Versus Batman 89, which is basically Tim Burton making Batman dark in the first place.
Mm-hmm. Totally.
It's very different. So this is like, depending on how you look at it, this is kind of Burton's legit attempt at a sequel for the first time, really. In terms of an actual continuation of the story. So
right.
It's a respectable attempt, but again, just the writing just really isn't there. But the performances and the practical effects and the way he's shooting it is. So I mean, I got to give him points there. It's not a slam dunk. It's not his best, but it's fun. It was fun.
All right. And honestly, Teddy, yeah, I absolutely think Tim Burton is kind of like I didn't really like Wednesday all that much, but Wednesday is super popular, and I do like that for him. And between Wednesday being super popular and this movie having the third biggest opening weekend of the year so far, which is big, especially considering legacy sequels are kind of like a hit or miss thing with if the audience is actually going to come back for it.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, I think it's fair to say Tim Burton's probably I would wager to say Tim Burton's almost kind of like got a blank check at this point. Like I think he can pretty much do whatever he wants now after this movie and Wednesday. Also, Dragon, really quick, do you think we will see a Beetlejuice?
Oh, well, Burton's actually had a really funny comment about that recently.
Okay.
He said, long story short, he said, well, it took me like 30 plus years to do this movie. So by the time I do the third
He'll be
one,
like a 90-year-old man.
Well, he said actually it'll be like a 100-year-old man by the time he does a third
God.
one. So, I mean, with modern science, who knows? So he kind of joked about like, well, I mean, modern science, if he's around, I guess if he's around, he might, but then again, everyone else.
I don't know, Dragon. I kind of hope that he does an actual third Beetlejuice movie, like relatively soon.
But you want that only because of the title, though.
Only because of the title, yes. Only because it'd be so fun to have those movies as a trilogy. Yes. Yeah. It doesn't even have to be good. I just want that trilogy.
Oh, come on.
All right. So yeah, final thoughts on my end. I like this a little bit better than you. I totally acknowledge that the plot is a little bit of a mess, but like I said, on a rewatch, some things did kind of solidify for me. Let me tell you one of my favorite things about the movie that I'm kind of surprised never came up in our conversation, Dragon, that I want to just acknowledge. I really love how just genuinely kind of like gross and mean-spirited a lot of this movie is. Like that to me is refreshing and feels like vintage Burton. I really love that about this movie. The fact that like we are not dumbing this down at all. If anything, this movie's more disturbing than the first movie in some places. So I really like that. And just the practical effects are just like genuinely, this is one of the best practical effects movies in a long time, honestly. I think it's a treasure trove of practical effects. I love it for that reason. So yeah, like for me, I wasn't disappointed just because I wasn't going in expecting the plot to be like a masterpiece. And I think the effects just I was expecting a lot from the effects, and I think it really delivered on that account. So yeah, I'm very much in the camp that thinks this is a really solid sequel, not a masterpiece, but solidly I think in Burton's top 10 for me at least. All right, let's see. So Teddy says, holy shit, it's a better title for Beetlejuice 3 would be Beetlejuice 2. That would be so trolly. Oh, God. That is a good one.
By the way, it was nice that we had like the whole R.I.P. Bob thing in the credits. So it was
yes. Yeah. All right, so that's it, Dragon?
I think so.
All right, folks, that's the end of tonight's spooky selection, and our spirits grow weary, but they'll be stronger than ever next time as we engage in even more haunted holiday hijinks. The juice is loose.
Showtime.